They're not going to know what to expect. Can you believe it? Ladies and gentlemen, we're live. We're actually early. Twilight Zone. We've got Jimmy Blanchette with us. So cool. Jimmy was on the show several weeks ago, and he had some great information that he had presented on 3i Atlas. And folks, do you know that he's actually got a radio antenna set up over 100,000? That, oh, dang it. Ha, okay. See what I mean? Twilight Zone. Anyway, so he's got this radio antenna that's more powerful than most radio stations. And he sent a signal to 3i Atlas. And he's also sent signals to, I don't know, like what, but you've activated something. If you watch the videos, folks, he's literally sent out signals, and then all of a sudden these lights here in the sky that he's been able to link with geometric precision to the Great Pyramid of Giza. Pretty incredible. But we're going to decode Jimmy's going to decode the WOW signal. We're going to talk about that. Wow, I can't wait to hear about that. And then you've got these alignments that are coming up with 3i Atlas that are paralleling like the Carrington event. Is that right?
That's right. That's right.
Wow. Yeah, let's talk about it, man. Thanks for being a guest. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you for having me on your show, Rex. It's always a pleasure to share the information. That's why I'm here.
Nice.
So a lot. We have a good lineup tonight of slides, information, follow up on our last show we did last time, and it's going to be so fascinating. And actually, it's going to be a little surprise actually, because there's some connection to our previous discussion that we're going to make here. So it should be interesting.
I'm looking forward to it. And before we get started, let me just share with the audience the email that you had sent to me. So, recap of our last interview, I had predicted that the upcoming planetary alignment on December 19th, when 3i Atlas will be closest to Earth, could trigger earthquakes and solar storms. As the alignment is materializing, that is exactly what has happened, and it is going to get much more intense. Then, my latest discovery, the frequency of 3i Atlas perihelion matched the frequency of the human DNA at 99.4% accuracy. Number 3, 3i Atlas passage happens directly to feed into the long count Mayan calendar, one of your latest discoveries. You put one of my latest discoveries, hence you. And then the fourth thing you wrote was a few days ago, after I broadcast scale waves for the first time towards 3i Atlas and the sun, I was infused with the solution to the famous WOW signal. The WOW signal encodes the famous fine structure constant, a number which, per Carl Sagan, it would ever been encoded in a deep space signal would be the ultimate proof of ET communication. Wow. Let's start at the top.
There's a lot to unpack there. A lot to unpack, that's for sure. Well, I think if that's okay, I will start to share the slides because I have visual to accompany what we're going to be talking about.
Yeah.
That sounds good. So let me do this right now.
Talk about a hook, right, folks? How about that?
All right.
If you got to go to the bathroom, you're not getting up. You're listening to this because this is live. So I hope you have your organic popcorn. And Jimmy has a slideshow he's going to share with us. Let me pull this up on stage.
Boom. Right. Are you able to see the slide?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Excellent. First of all, I'd like to maybe do a little promotion here. My work is going to be featured in an upcoming documentary, which is going to be released within about 2 to 3 months from now. Documentary on contact with non-human intelligence, UFO, and things like that. So it's a documentary by Ellen Jacob Lane and Kevin Lane and Ray Hernandez, the producers. So it's coming up, and also there's another documentary actually that came out a couple and a half years ago, May of 2023, by Darcy Weir, who is very known, he did a lot of documentaries in the field, called Fast Walker. It's available on Amazon. It's available for free actually now. You can find it on YouTube for free. And there's a 17-minute segment about my work, my radio station, and things of that nature. So for those interested, you can tune into that.
It's actually an intergalactic radio station that Jimmy has. Serious. You're sending signals to intergalactic objects, so you could potentially classify that as an intergalactic radio.
Well, I have to say, with the the broadcast I made on November 9th of scalar waves, which we're going to be talking about it, which I believe resulted in the solution to the wow signal being communicated my way. It's pretty remarkable. So anyway, we're exploring the, a lot of very exciting stuff here. So all right, so let me move on here. A little recap to all latest discussion. So in 3 days from now, December 19th, 2025, which is coming, it's coming up on Friday, 3i Atlas will be closest to Earth, with a distance, it will be at a distance of 145.2 million nautical miles from Earth, which interesting happens to match harmonic 144 at 99+%. We talked about this harmonic, which is this is the harmonic of the speed of light, expressed in geometric harmonic terms. It's going to be part of the book I'm going to release in early 2026. But that harmonic is encoded in the Great Pyramid of Giza, in many ancient sacred sites. It's a very, very important number. We heard about the 144,000, right? It's in Revelation. The number of casing stones on the Great Pyramid is 144,000, right? That number has been encoded purposely because it's the harmonic of the speed of light. And 3i Atlas will be essentially matching this harmonic in 3 days from now at 99+% accuracy. So remarkable. These are things that, interestingly, astrophysicists and astronomers like Avi Loeb and others have not paid attention to, interestingly. So what we're seeing tonight is a lot of stuff that it's not been observed or noticed in the mainstream, but is real because anyone can go online and find that information. So I'm not making this up. So on the December 19, 2025, which is coming in 3 days, there's going to be a very, very rare, extraordinary planetary alignment. And I did a search on ChatGPT, and this type of alignment involving all these planets, our sun, the moon, and Sagittarius A, which has a black hole at the center of our Milky Way, of our galaxy, happens once every a few million years, I think 50 million years, if I recall. So it's extremely rare. It's not something that happens, frequently. So it's a rare thing. Again, I'm very puzzled as to why Avi Loeb and others have not figured this out, because they point to the fact that 3i Atlas is at within 5 degrees of the ecliptic plane of in our solar system, essentially in line with our planets, right, in the same plane, within 5 degrees. They point to that anomaly, or this, let's say, this unlikelihood, but they've missed completely the fact that there's going to be this very rare planetary alignment involving not only Jupiter, Mercury, Venus, Mars, but it also involves the moon, which is responsible for all the tides on our planet, right? The moon has enough gravitational pull to transport and lift trillions of tons of water in our oceans every day. So it's very significant. So the role of the moon cannot be understated here. In 3 days from now, the moon will be perfectly aligned with the sun. So when you're going to be looking at the sun in the sky, the moon will be right in front of you. Of course, you're not going to see it because the light of the sun is going to, blind you. But the moon is going to be right there in 3 days from now. So in addition to that, importantly, Sagittarius A is essentially the direction of our, the center of our Milky Way, of our galaxy, which contains millions of suns, millions of stars. In the center of the Sagittarius A, there's a known black hole. We call it the Great Attractor, which is responsible for all our stars in our galaxy evolving around that center. So we have this planetary alignment involving all these planets, the Earth, the Moon, the Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Sagittarius A. Note, very importantly, December 19th is very close to December 21st. There's, mathematically speaking, there's not much difference. But at that time, December 21st, it's called a solar solstice, the winter solstice, the winter solstice. And you will see in many ancient texts that this date of December 21st, which was very known and important in 2012, right? The December 21st in 2012, they call it the beginning of the Golden Age. It's an important date, and we see it in rituals, in ancient sacred sites around the world. They point to that date of the winter solstice, and nobody seems to have figured out why that's important. So what I can say from a astronomical perspective is that on December 21st of every year, the sun is the closest to planet Earth, the closest distance, meaning that the sun will have its maximum amount of gravitational effect on December 21st every year. So here we are, this planetary alignment. Not only we have the combined gravitational pull or effect of all the planets, we're going to have the moon responsible for all the tides, on the Earth, and also the sun will be the closest to Earth on that day in 3 days from now. And the cherry on the cake, we have Sagittarius A, the black hole at the center of the Milky Way, which is going to be perfectly aligned as well. So this is a very significant date, a very significant event. And it's very remarkable, again, that Avi Loeb and others have not noticed that on the exact day, and that's important, the exact day in 3 days from now, that is when 3i class will be closest to Earth, not on December 21st, on December 19th, which is the day that we're going to have this alignment, and including the moon. It's only that day. And that happens to be the day that 3i class will be closest to Earth, that this alignment I'm talking about is happening. Remarkable. So now, what's the potential impact of this alignment? I mean, I did some research, and in 1859, there's what we call the Carrington Event. And some people may have heard about it, but the Carrington Event was the strongest solar storm ever recorded in our history, which peaked on September 1st and 2nd of 1859. It's a long time ago. At that time, there was no technology, there was no computer, there was nothing, right? All they had were some telegraphic lines to do Morse code, and it was very, very primitive. But even at the time, with the primitive technology they had with these telegraphic stations, some of these stations caught on fires, literally, because the impact of the electromagnetic field induced by the solar storm that occurred was sufficient to produce these massive effect in aurora borealis all over the world at very low altitudes. The sky was just shining lights, and plasma. And it said, and actually NASA did a study on this, and anyone can find the result of this report on the internet, actually. But if the same solar storm will happen today, it will bring civilization to a grind, literally, because this type of electromagnetic pulse from the sun and all the plasma essentially will bring the power grid down for many, many months, if not years. Meaning that there will not be any power, right? Meaning there will not be any pump to pump water. So there's not going to be water. Forget the water, in your toilet and to drink. You don't have water. You don't have. This will be really a planetary catastrophe if the same solar storm will happen today. So this is very known. This is a fact. So interestingly, as you see on the screen here, I did a search and I was curious. So I looked at I used the SkyLive software. Again, anyone can go on the internet. It's free. Go on skylives.com. You can access this and go back to August 27th of 1859, which is about 3 days prior to that storm that peaked. And you will see that we had a similar planetary alignment involving Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, Venus, the Moon, the Sun, Mercury. Interestingly, the Sagittarius A, the black hole at the center of our Milky Way, was not involved, but this is a very significant alignment. And what I'm showing here is a reproduction of what you will find if you use a software online, the SkyLive, for instance. So very, very significant. Interestingly, and I don't know if I was the first to bring this up on your show, Rex, but I predicted at the time that this upcoming planetary alignment, which was, slowly coming together, right? It's a slow process, could trigger potentially solar storm, earthquake, volcanic eruptions. What I'm showing on the screen here, I did a search on ChatGPT and I summarized it on the screen. These are the solar storm, earthquake, and volcanic eruptions which occurred since November 9th, since we did the show. And we see that there was really very, very powerful activity well beyond normal average. If you look at the first solar storm, for instance, on November 18th, November 11th and 12th, is the second highest geomagnetic class of storm, right? It's very rare. It can affect the grid and the satellite. It's very disruptive, right? It's a very significant thing. November 11 and 12. Shortly after I did the scalar wave broadcast, actually. We had December 9th a few days ago, right? Less than a week ago. Again, very strong storm, a G3 this time. Again, slightly less intense than G4, but again, strong auroras and some amazing pictures that people posted on the internet showing these aurora borealis, the northern lights, right? It was spectacular, especially if you live at the higher latitudes. We have, earthquake you see in Japan, northeast Japan, 7.5. This is very, very major, right? This is way, way above average. Another on December 6th of magnitude 7 in Alaska. Nobody heard about it. It's not really been in the news, but it's recorded because it was not an habitable zone. But, this is capable of destroying entire cities, really, at magnitude 7. Another one, 6.9, slightly less, but about same magnitude again in Japan. Again, very, very powerful activity. And some volcanic eruption in Indonesia, Kamchatka, I don't know how to pronounce this, again in Japan. Very powerful eruptions. Some of these eruptions actually sent ashes at 33,000 feet in altitude, right, in the sky. So this is very, very significant. So again, what I'm saying here, this is not coincidence. These are not accidents. We predicted it. The planetary alignment is undeniable. And so this is the summary of what took place, right? And so this is verifiable. Now, interestingly, again, this is a very unique time. There's going to be another very, very, very rare planetary alignment on January 18th of 2026. So, in a month from now. And what we're seeing here is essentially Mars, Venus, Mercury, the Sun, the Moon, the Earth, Jupiter, and even 3i Atlas actually is lined up in this alignment, right? And again, this is an alignment that occurs only once every many million years. So this is remarkable. We're really in a period here where we have these alignments that are extremely rare. We're talking about once every million years, and it's just happening now. So what are the odds that 3i Atlas is just passing through our solar system at that time? So this is quite remarkable.
Real quick, Jimmy, how close is that alignment to the Carrington alignment? Were they pretty similar?
Yeah, well, let me go back here. So if you look at the alignment that's going to take place in 3 days from now, let's talk about this one, right? So we see Mars, Venus, Mercury, the Sun, the Moon, Earth, and Jupiter. And Sagittarius A, which I cannot understate the importance, right? Now, we notice the alignment is not perfect, right? It's not a perfect line, but this is the gravitational impact remains there, right? Because even when the moon is not perfectly aligned, we have the impact every day, right? So this alignment on December 19th in 3 days is less perfect than on the alignment that we see here, which is going to take place in January. But the difference is that this alignment that we are going to see involves Sagittarius A, the black hole at the center of our Milky Way, which essentially contains millions of stars, right? It's very, very significant from an astronomical standpoint. So If we look now at the Carrington event to answer your question, the alignment was Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, Venus, Moon, Sun, and Mercury. Compared to this one, Mars, Venus, Mercury, Sun, Moon, Earth, Jupiter, right? And Sagittarius A. So it's very close. We have Sagittarius A on top of it. And as I said, December 19th, which is 2 days away from December 21st, the sun will be closest to the Earth. The sun will be closest to the Earth. Again, maximizing its gravitational impact. So it's hard to say what the impact will be. And one of the things we didn't talk about is not only this can trigger solar storm, earthquake, and volcanic eruption, but could potentially trigger a pole shift. And a pole shift is really can be a planetary killer, right? Because here if we have a pole shift, essentially instantly, we have a displacement of the oceans within seconds. We have winds that can be hundreds of miles an hour. I mean, you have conditions that we just cannot imagine. So it's not a scenario we want to talk about, but this is one of the possibility here, right? This happened many times in the Earth history. This is not new. We have had pole shift before. They are documented in geology, geological history. So this is another possibility that we're not showing here, but it's a possibility. Now, it's interesting. I want to mention here that next to the Great Pyramid of Giza, there are 6 small pyramids. Nobody talked about it. Nobody paid attention to them because they're very small. But we have the pyramids, and we have these 6 pyramids. And one should wonder if these 6 pyramids are not a representation of the 6 planets or the 6 celestial bodies involved in the planetary alignment that could change Earth history. Right? These are codes. This is information that's been communicated to humanity thousands of years ago to warn us about potential danger for us. Right? We need to pay attention. We need to decode this information. And it's been communicated to us in various ways. The location of ancient secret sites, their dimension, manifestation from UAPs, and I have personal experience of that. So we need to take this information seriously. So we're really, I believe we're living historic times, which will be in our galactic history book, I believe. Now, here's another thing that's fascinating about 3i Atlas. In 3 days from now, December 19th, the distance between 3i Atlas and the Earth and the distance between 3i Atlas and the Sun, for instance, will be matching harmonic 144 and harmonic 432 squared at a very high degree of accuracy. So let me jump into this. So the distance between 3i Atlas and 3 days in the Earth will be 145.2 million nautical miles. I'm using this unit of measurement instead of kilometer and miles because this is a geometric harmonic units, right? This unit of distance is compatible or in sync with geometry. And whether the universe is based on geometry, and over history, non-human intelligence, UAPs have been communicated with geometry. I mean, that's the language of the universe. And so interestingly, this number, this distance of 145.2 million nautical miles matches harmonic 144 at 99.2%. Very interesting coincidence, right? And again, this distance may change because we heard about non-gravitational acceleration from 3i Atlas, right? There's anomalies that may change its trajectory or may change the distance when it gets closest to us, so that's a story to follow. The other thing that's pretty significant is that the distance between 3i Atlas and the Sun in 3 days from now, December 19th, will be 186.8 million nautical miles, which matches harmonic 432 squared at 99.9%. Again, these are the harmonics of creation I've been talking about in my work. I'm working on a book talking about it. These are the same harmonic 144, 432, and golden ratio, which are encoded in ancient secret sites all over the world, encoded in UAP manifestations. This is the universal language that they've been trying to communicate it to us for nearly thousands of years. So these are not in my perspective, coincidence. And if you look at the dimension of the Great Pyramid of Giza, for instance, these numbers, 144 and 432 in golden ratio, are the only number that are part of the structure, the dimension. So these are no accident. Now, interestingly, also something I discovered a few days ago is that when 3i Atlas was closest to the sun, right, on October 29, 2025, the distance between 3i Atlas and the sun, if we calculate it as a wavelength, right, which makes sense, right, the distance between the sun and 3i Atlas as a wavelength, that wavelength or frequency, because a wavelength is equal to a frequency, just happened to match the frequency of the human DNA at 99.4% accuracy. This is stunning. This is really stunning. There's a lot of rumor and theories on the internet from people doing remote viewing. You get a full spectrum, right? That are saying that 3i Atlas is sending frequencies that can uplift humanities, and for the for all kind of purposes, right? For the ascension and so on.
Real quick, if you would, this just so that I can understand this better. So describe the distance as a wavelength between 3i Atlas and the sun corresponding to a frequency that is equal to the human DNA.
Sure.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. See what I mean? I said you wouldn't be getting up. You're sitting down right now watching this, aren't you, folks? This is great, man.
Yeah, I mean, this is fascinating. So the distance on October 29, 2025, right? This happens a couple of months ago, roughly. So the distance was 109,611,231 million nautical miles, right? This was a distance between the sun and 3i Atlas. If we convert that distance into a wavelength, right, and we match that wavelength, because a wavelength is equal to a frequency, and a frequency is equal to energy, right? This is the Planck form. The Max Planck formula is E energy equal the Planck constant times the frequency, right? This is the one of the most famous physics formula, right? Essentially matching energy with frequency, right? Energy with frequency. So in a wavelength is equal to a frequency. So in this case, this wavelength of distance between 3i Atlas and the sun equals energy, right? And if we look at the DNA molecule, essentially, if we look at the double-stranded base pair DNA molecule, the average mass of a double-stranded base pair DNA molecule, right? The mass of that molecule, this is mass of matter, equals energy. And we all know about E equal mc squared, right? The Einstein equation, right? E equal mc squared. E equal energy equals m mass, and c squared is the speed of light, right? Squared. So the human DNA is a molecule, is a mass of material, right? It's a mass of matter. So that mass of matter equals energy, equal mc squared. So as I said, this energy equals the frequency, happens to match the frequency or the wavelength of the sun. The distance
so
between
that
the
frequency
sun.
the frequency would convert to 13.137.
Correct. Exactly. The frequency, exactly, will
And
match
that's
that harmonic number.
Like you've got what calculation do you do to get that?
It's very simple. I mean, if you take the speed of light divided by the wavelength, you get a frequency.
Okay, you take the speed of light divided by the
wavelength, you get a frequency, right?
Gotcha.
The wavelength in this case,
boom.
Right, boom, right? It's simple.
Okay.
It's simple math, right? It's high school mathematics.
Yeah, okay.
And,
I appreciate
and so
that.
we get that frequency, right? And then the human DNA. Now, the human DNA, we're not looking at the wavelength. We're looking at the mass of material, but using the ancient equation, E equal mc squared, right? Energy equal mass times the speed of light squared. Then we can take the average mass of a double-stranded base pair DNA molecule, the mass of matter, we convert that into energy, and then we convert that energy into frequency using the Max Planck equation, and we get 13.062. So now we see the match between the frequency of 3i Atlas and the human DNA is 99.4% match, which is remarkable.
thank you for explaining that. And I didn't mean to interrupt. It looks like somebody was obviously like right on the edge there with you. And they're like, wait a second, you interrupted the guest right when he was going to talk about remote viewing. Sorry, Sleuth. I'm doing my best here.
Well, I was just mentioning about remote viewing again. Really the foundation of my work is I follow my intuition, if you will, but I try to provide evidence in the form of mathematics, right? Physics and mathematics, because this is undisputable, right? It's a universal language. It's mathematics, it's undisputable. So some people will have information in the form of using remote viewing, or they have intuition, they have dreams or whatever, right? And I pay attention to all that. It's all important, right? But when I can confirm that information with mathematics, with hard physics, then we have correlations that we need to pay attention to even more, in my opinion, right? This is
100% agreed. Yeah, right on, man. I appreciate that. Absolutely.
Yeah. So this is another thing here. Again, Avi Loeb and these guys, are not looking at it this way because they're still really deep into the mainstream science. But actually, this is mainstream science. What I'm doing now is basic physics, right? It's Max Planck equation, the Einstein equation. Anybody can do that, right? But they're not thinking that way. And I think they will have interest to look at these planetary alignments, for instance, we talked about. Again, I mean, what are the odds that Three Eye Atlas will be witnessing this planetary alignment, right? And this is where we can speculate, and I'm speculating here. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm speculating. Could it be that Three Eye Atlas happens to pass in our solar system at this precise time to use its technology to negate maybe a planetary catastrophe that will unfold otherwise? It's possible. Again, I'm speculating, but the likelihood or the odds, the statistical probability that this is happening, this alignment is happening while Three Eye Atlas is passing by and be closest to Earth, is just one in many dozens of millions, right? It's not likely to happen. And so I really wonder why, right? And again, there could be something here that Three Eye Atlas is going to be avoiding a planetary catastrophe that will happen otherwise. I'm just speculating. All right, one more thing here, interesting, and that's quite remarkable. So if you look on the slide to the left, right, we all heard about December 21st, 2012, right? This was the end of the long count Mayan calendar. This was supposed to be the beginning of the new golden age or whatever, right? So there's a new age version of it. There's mathematics behind it, right? We know the Mayan calendar is mathematical, so it was a very important date. Now it's interesting because if we look at Three Eye Atlas, the closest approach to Earth in 3 days from now, December 19, 2025, which is at the center here of the slide, right? There's exactly 13 years essentially between December 21st, 2012 and December 19, 2025, right? 13 years minus 2 days, essentially. All right, we take that number. And now if we look at the next planetary alignment that's going to be similar, again, potentially creating a planetary change, it's going to happen on December 21st, 2033. Anyone can go on the internet using LiveSky, punch in December 21st, 2033. You're going to see this planetary alignment, including also Sagittarius A. Again, very important. This is the winter solstice, encoded in many ancient sacred sites and rituals and all that. Now, the time span between 3 days from now, December 19, 2025, and December 21st, 2023, is 8 years, exactly. Now, if we ratio this time span, the 13 years, right, between the December 21st, 2012 and December 19, 2025, and the time span between December 19, 2025 and December 21st, 2023, 8 years, we get exactly golden ratio, 99.6% match. Very interesting. Again, right, the golden ratio, as we know, is a very significant number because it drives all fractality in the universe. Many cycle the DNA, many things are driven by the golden ratio. It's quite an interesting coincidence again that we have this time span between these planetary alignments. All right, and finally, I want to get back to so November 9th, 2025, which was just a few days ago when we spoke, after we spoke, you and I, Rex. I made the scalar wave transmissions towards 3i Atlas and also towards the sun. I targeted both locations in the sky. So I was able to retrieve the coordinates, latitude and longitude on 3i Atlas. So I directed my antenna system towards that body and broadcasted information, broadcasted a message to let whatever intelligence may be on this thing know that we figured it out, right? All this mathematics that I was showing tonight, these slides, many of these slides, I encoded them and I broadcasted them back to them, right? To let them know that we figured this out, right? We're monitoring, we're paying attention. So this happens on November 9th. Amazingly, a few days later, and this is amazing to me, the inspiration came to me about the famous wow signal, right? The information came to me about the solution to decode the wow signal. And what is the wow signal? So in 1977, the Big Ear Radio Telescope in Ohio recorded a signal from deep space that was very, very unusual and out of the background noise, really. Was strong, was modulated, was very sharp. And this signal, this wow signal that was labeled, lasted 72 seconds, that transmission. And the frequency at which this signal was received was exactly 1420.4556 megahertz, right? This was the frequency. So what came to me in the form of inspiration, and I didn't have to make any efforts, it just came to me like we're talking now, was that if we ratio the duration of this wow signal, 72 seconds, as we see on the screen, over the frequency, and the piece of the puzzle that was missing is what was the medium to broadcast this frequency, right? So that wow signal was in a radio wave, right? An electromagnetic radio wave. An electromagnetic radio wave travels at the speed of light. In geometric harmonic terms, again, which is the universal language for the UAPs and ancient secret sites, the speed of light harmonic is harmonic 144. The speed of light matches 144,000 nautical miles per geometric seconds. That's the speed of light expressed in terms of geometric harmonic terms. So when we do the product of that over the ratio of the duration of the wow signal and the frequency of that signal, amazingly, we get the fine structure constant. Now, for those who don't know, the fine structure constant remains a mystery in our physics. Our current physics do not know why the fine structure constant is the number that it is, but that number is necessary to make the universe works. All the electromagnetic interactions that are happening in the universe, all the light interactions, depends on this number, this fine structure constants, which is necessary to make everything works. Now, Carl Sagan, decades ago, once remarked that if the fine structure constant was ever encoded in a message from deep space, this will constitute really the strongest possible evidence that that signal is from an extraterrestrial origin. That's Carl Sagan. Amazingly, the wow signal encodes exactly that, encodes exactly the fine structure constant. And I don't know if I can show it on the screen here if I show my calculator machine. Let me see here. Are you able to see that? Yes, we do. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it on the screen. So I want to show people that I'm not making this up here. It's a very simple math. We did 72 seconds, right? The duration of the fine structure constant. We divide that by the frequency of that signal. We divide that by 420.4556 megahertz. All right. And then we multiply this by the speed of light harmonic times harmonic 144. We get the fine structure constant at 99.98% accuracy. And if we do the inverse, we get the famous 137, right? So for those to make it simple to understand, what we're getting here, the wow signal encodes 137.0038, and the fine structure constant is 137.036. You see how close that is? It's 99.98% accuracy if you round this number. Let me express it. 99.98% if you round this number accuracy. And this is what I'm showing here on the screen, 99.98% accuracy. So I did the math demonstration live in front of you here. This is undisputable. This is not an accident, right? This kind of accuracy. And if you think about it, right, the wow signal contained, what we could decode is the duration, right? The signal lasted 72 seconds. That intelligence knew that we could decode the frequency, obviously, which is 1420.4556. And the piece of the puzzle that was missing is what's the medium, the mean of communicating this information is obviously radio waves, which travel at the speed of light harmonic, 144,000 nautical miles per geometric seconds. These three numbers are sufficient to produce a fine structure constant at 99.98% accuracy, as we just shown on the screen, which is what Carl Sagan mentioned decades ago, that if that fine structure constant was ever encoded in a signal, this will be the ultimate proof of extraterrestrial contact. It's interesting that this inspiration came to me after broadcasting the scalar waves towards Rhea Atlas and the sun. I don't know why, but was this a reply from the universe? Right? I don't know. But the math is indisputable. And I think this was the last slide in my presentation.
Like, why not? With all these incredible numerological synchronicities, why not? Like, and the fact that you're able to decode some of this with that math, I find incredible. Like you brought up earlier, remote viewing's fascinating, and there can be some great information with remote viewing. And then you take math, and math is like the ultimate. When I say that, folks, I'm not saying that that's absolutely proven this is an alien spacecraft. So I don't want people to be leaving comments like that in the comment section. But to me, this shows universal harmonics. Like this shows consciousness in the universe. The universe has consciousness, essentially.
Yes, exactly.
It could be a freaking alien spaceship, and that sounds amazing. I love that. But it's even deeper than that. And if it's not an alien spacecraft, in my opinion, it's even more fascinating the way that it's moving with these harmonics. It just makes me question reality even more. And people bring up the simulation theory. Well, we may be able to look at mechanics similar to a simulation, but a simulation is a computer like video game. So there's more to it than a simulation.
Yeah. And I can demystify this a bit. I can demystify this a little bit, because if we think about our brain, right? Our brain is a receiver and transmitter of waves, right? Of brain waves. These brain waves have frequencies. They have energy, the same way that I've talked about, right? And so it's possible that their technology is able to tune into our brain waves and infuse certain ideas and information, because it's all physics. It's all waves, brain waves or radio waves, the same thing, just different frequencies. And so it's interesting. It's very fascinating. And I think, and by the way, when I found that solution to the wow signal, I encoded the slide and I broadcasted it back to them to let them know that we're figuring it out, right? And so we're just waiting for the next waves of information to come our way.
I love that. Can you beam them our podcast?
Well, I can beam images and sounds and maybe a sound, but a broadcast will be a very, very long transmission. So I'm not there yet.
If you could figure out a way to just fast forward it or add bits and pieces, that would be a real honor if you could send our podcast or parts of it to 3i Atlas. That would be much appreciated. That would be awesome. Can you imagine what could come back? I mean, more subscribers, more viewers, more amazing people, more ideas. I love it. And I know you got a boogie, so I'll make this quick. And folks, stick with me for a few minutes after, because I want to share some night vision footage with you I got from my friend Gunner's place, where we were looking for UAPs that have been showing up in his really close to his house. But anyway, what the hell? I was going to Zorg. What was I going to say, Jimmy?
About it, I just want to mention that everything we saw tonight is based on mathematics, right? We look at distances between 3i Atlas and the sun and the moon. We look at harmonics. We look at the wall signal. It's just basic mathematics. We did the calculation live, right? This is all hard science. We look at planetary alignments. Anyone can go on the internet, look at these alignments, right? So this is real stuff. This is real hard evidence. This is not speculation. This is real hard evidence. And to me, there's too much of it. There's too much of that evidence that points towards a synchronicity that's just impossible to be coincidence.
Synchronicity. I agree. And that's what I was talking about before I completely forgot. So here's another synchronicity. So yesterday, I decided to start watching Star Trek, the latest series of Star Trek. It has Captain Pike as the captain on the helm. And I made it to like episode 8 of season 1. I quit watching it for a year or two. And then I decided I was going to start watching it again yesterday. So I went back to season 1 and I skipped an episode on accident and I started watching episode 10. Well, the reason this is so synchronistic is episode 10 of that Star Trek was about these asteroids that were being retrofitted by Starfleet and other, space agencies. And it had a comet in it, and it had time travel in it. It was just, the synchronicities were pretty wild, man.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
I thought it was pretty cool.
Programming, yeah, it's pretty cool.
I thought it was pretty cool. So anyway, yeah, the synchronicities are off the hook, and they're super cool. And Jimmy, you're awesome, man. I really appreciate you. Will you tell people how to find more of your work and how to find out your research if they want to go search for you?
Yeah, sure. I have a YouTube channel, so it's called Human Initiated Contact in CAP. So you can find all my videos, research, interviews there. On Facebook, just my name, Jimmy Blanchette. You can connect with me, and that's where pretty much all my information is.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I'll leave the links in the video description box. And Jimmy, keep being the change, man. Let's do a follow-up in a month or so if you get a few minutes. I know you're super busy.
Sounds good, sir. Always a pleasure. Thank you, Rex, for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, everybody. Now check this out. I'm going to share with you this really cool footage. You remember the other day I got some video from my friend Gunner, and Gunner's down the street. He's just outside of Pagosa, and he's been sending me these videos of these orbs that appear and disappear and move in very weird fashions. And the video camera that he's using isn't like a night vision camera or anything. It's just a nice cell phone. And so he's been sending me these videos, and I'm like, okay, I got to go out there and look at that. So a couple nights ago, I go out, I've got Gen 3 military grade night vision, and I bring the night vision, and I'm looking. He says, okay, there's 2 trees, Rex. He says these 2 trees, in between these 2 trees is where you see the majority of the activity. Now, if you look just to the left of the 2 trees, and I'm going to show you a map, and I'm going to show you, so you can get some landmarks and stuff and get an idea. But he says, okay, so look in between these 2 trees mainly, and they'll go up to the tree line maybe a little bit higher. I'm like, okay. And to the left of these trees, if you go further south, is where you have the Archuleta Mesa and Dulce, New Mexico, where there is all sorts of bizarre activity and unexplained phenomena that has been recorded out there from the locals and non-locals. I won't even go to Dulce anymore because of a very lucid dream that I had the day after I went looking for the vents on the Mesa. But anyway, so I'm like, okay. And so I get the night vision out, and I'm looking with the night vision, and the amount of activity that I saw out there with my night vision was insane. It was wild. It was amazing. And I'm trying to debunk all of the stuff that I saw with the night vision. I've got video. I'm going to show you in a minute. The video is okay. It's not perfect, but you can see the video through the night vision. And the best way to describe it is I would see these orbs that would appear, these light orbs. So there's some, I don't know if it's plasma orbs or craft or what, but the way that they were moving, and to add to this, Gunner, it doesn't have night vision. He's just got like a camera that can see low light. So he can see a small fraction of what I'm looking at. And he's not getting as excited because usually when he's out there looking, he doesn't even need night vision. I mean, these things are showing up, these orbs are showing up, they're getting really bright, and so he's not getting super excited. But as I'm looking through the night vision, the amount of activity that I'm seeing out there is, wow. I probably at least 100 or more, I would say more, over 100 orbs or lights moving, whether they're, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, is there a commercial airport out there? And on the map, when you look at the map, you do not see any commercial airports out there outside of the Durango airport. And the Durango airport doesn't have that many flights. So some of the lights that I saw out there were absolutely airplanes. And you could tell they were airplanes by the way that they blinked. But a lot of these lights were stationary lights. They did not change colors. They did not blink. And they would move to the left. They would move up and to the left, and then they would dim out, and then they would come back, and then they would go up and to the right. So they were going like in very, very straight lines like this, and then they would come back, and then they would go this way. And they would get darker, and they would come back. And then I would see some that would fly out and then stop. And then it would go again a little bit slower. So they weren't moving like satellites either. So let me show you this footage real quick. And once again, the footage isn't the best, but it just puts things into perspective. And I also want to show you on the map where I was at here. So check this out. Hold on a second. I got to get rid of this. There we go. All right. So, like, dude, really? You had to leave that ridiculous comment 4 times in a row? Like, did your mom just let you on the computer or something? Oh my gosh. All right. Anyway, some people. All right. Check this out. So, I am at my friend Gunner's, and he lives around, let's just say he lives south of Pagosa Springs a little bit. You know, he's south of Pagosa Springs, and we're looking westward. We're looking west, which means that you've got Chimney Rock west of here, and you have Chromo, which is down here. And there's a lot of activity of UAPs and also military activity, low night flights with the military where they have pretty much all the lights off except for like a red flashing light under the wing, and then they'll be piloting the vessel with night vision, optics, etc., because they're doing different exercises. So there is a decent amount of activity down here, but there's also a lot of unexplained activity, cattle mutilations, a lot of legit cattle mutilations. And I'm not convinced cattle mutilations are from aliens at all, but they're definitely bizarre. There's a lot of activity down here in this area. Now, if you go south, just a little bit further south, you've got Dulce, New Mexico. The Archuleta Mesa is right around here. And the Archuleta Mesa will even go into Colorado a little bit. So and as far as the amount of people that live out here, there's not a lot of people that live out here. There's not a lot of businesses. There's not a lot of air traffic. There's very little air traffic. But we are right up around here. And we're looking down west, southwest. So to put into perspective, the closest airport is the Durango airport, and there's not that many planes that fly in and out of Durango. Not nearly enough with the amount of activity that I was seeing. If we go west of there, you have the Cortez airport, but we were looking further. It was down in this area. You've got the Four Corners Regional Airport. You've got, a couple of small airports, but the amount of activity, and was way more what we were witnessing. And a lot of times, Gunner will film these things that are much closer. Like here, me zoom back in. So he's filming around this area, and he's filming stuff in and around Chimney Rock, maybe potentially down here towards the Archuleta Mesa. But his little segment where he's got the two trees as landmarks looking in that area, the activity would be right around here. Chimney Rock is a sacred location where they have kivas, and it's like it's a spiritual center for the natives, and a beautiful area. I love it out there. I wouldn't be surprised if, if I was living there in a previous life. There's just a really strong connection I have with Chimney Rock. But there's also a place out here that's called Devil Mountain and Devil Creek. And you've heard a lot of the stories about if there's the name devil in whether it's a mountain or creek or river, there's stories of native urban legends of bizarre phenomena. See, here's Devil Mountain, and Devil Creek is down here, so close to Chimney Rock. And I just don't know what the heck I was looking at. So let me see here if I can pull this up now and share with you. Pull this up just one second. Well, you're looking at it right here, so let's play this out. So that area right there, we're looking at, I think, a part of the Archuleta Mesa. These are the two trees that I was talking about right here. These two trees, most of the activity that he picks up is right around in here. And most of the lights that you're looking at there are stars, and it'll mellow out here again in a second. But when you're looking there through this night vision, the amount of activity that I was watching where these things were moving, like I said, they were moving very slow. They were moving like this. They would get darker, and then they would come back this way. And sometimes they'd get lighter, and sometimes they get darker, over 100 times. And a lot of them were going out past the tree, going out around the tree. Like that one flashing light up there is most likely an airplane. And next time we go out there, we're going to get his laptop out that'll show all the flight paths, because he's tracked these orbs with flight path data before, and the orbs and the flight paths were not, like, it was showing there were no flights in that area when he was picking up these orbs. He's picking up stuff a lot closer without the night vision versus when I was there. There was a little bit of activity, but most of the stuff that I was seeing was further out, probably like I said, closer to like not Cortez, because it's gonna be south of Cortez. You can see a couple different planes, few of them actually. 1, 2, 3. The stuff that I was talking about that was moving like this and then like this, that was more of they weren't flashing lights. They were stationary lights. Then you can see one right there that's moving. See that guy? So keep in mind, I'm in an area where there's not hardly any activity where I'm at. I mean, there's about 2,000 people that live in Pagosa. I think there's 18,000 people approximately that live in Archuleta County. Archuleta County is massive, and that area's southwest is even less populous until you get further out, substantially further out. And I do have a pair of Dyson goggles that are like the latest version, but they're not quite the original. So yeah, there's quite a bit of activity out there. And like I said, the ones that are flashing, you can definitely tell which ones are planes. But then when you have stationary lights and a lot of stuff that I was seeing with the night vision when I was there, I wasn't able to pick up with my phone because I just had to put my mobile phone next to the night vision. And it was, you know, like not the best. I need to get something that actually will keep it attached so I don't have to move my hand around while I'm moving the around. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, pretty cool, huh? I have a P1000 also, authentic intelligence. I took that with me. It was too dark to see with the P1000, even under night vision, or with not night vision, but night optics, where you can pick up a little bit better, but not nearly anything like the Gen 3. So yeah. Thanks for watching. Hit the bell. Be well. Be excellent to each other. And keep being the change the world needs to see.